Before we begin, I have two words for you. Those are Duck Rogers. If you are familiar with the Looney Tunes characters, there is this sketch where him and Piggy are looking for Planet X. It's a really good sketch, it's a really good joke. Look it up because it's going to help you understand the problem that we are going to deal with today. Today we are going to fix Prometheus. Well, as usual, before we fix the movie, we have to see what's wrong with it, and in order to find out what's wrong with it, we have to review the story of Prometheus. How does the movie start? It starts with an alien. It's a beautiful shot. There is this alien and he's close to some magnificent waterfalls and he commits suicide, and his blood goes into the river stream, and his DNA is somehow supposed to affect our DNA. That's the first shot of the movie. Now, where is this going? Because there is an objective to every story, there is a reason, there is a path that it must follow, there is a goal. So, here's the alien, and here's the goal. The thing that he has to achieve, or the thing that we have to achieve because of what the alien did. What the movie is sort of telling us is that this alien has somehow helped create us, create humanity. There should be within the story a link between the alien and the goal and the objective, right? But as the movie progresses, the next thing we find is that there are some very primitive signs that point to a star in outer space. Another goal is given to us, right? One that perhaps has something to do with the alien, because that's more or less the planet that we're going to find, but it might be something else. And let us look at the other factors that are also included in Prometheus. I'm going to write them down first. But we have many other things. For example, we have Meredith, who's been played by Charlize Theron. She looks great, but what's her role? Why is she so tough? Why is she so rough? Why is she so strict? Is there something wrong with that? Is that going to create a problem within the mission? Is she going to make a mistake? Do something wrong? Is this going somewhere? Is something going to happen because of her? And then we also have the droid, David. He's been played by Michael Fassbender, who sets a trap to one of the scientists. Was that part of his mission? Did he have to find out the reactions of all the biological things that they were going to find? Why does he do that? Is this going somewhere? Is there a point to this? But we find out that the aliens that created us, have also created a huge base, sort of a military installation where they test things that are supposed to be weapon-like. Now, what does this have to do with this? What's the alien creating us have to do with that incredible technology that we see? Is there a link between the two? If there is, it isn't told. For example, we are not told why did David do that? Why did he place a poison inside the scientist's cup? And there is Peter Weyland, who's looking for a way to live longer, and he hopes that the aliens that have indirectly created those primitive signs are going to help him live longer. That's the only story that sort of creates a chain of events. Aliens created life, received primitive signs, Peter Weyland wants to live longer, and he funds the voyage. But it's still a really weak narrative, because we have the presence of the xenomorph, the alien, the alien that gives the series its name. It appears at the end just because it has to show its face. It is not exactly the xenomorph that we've seen in other films. it is not a situation that would take us to the first Alien movie, the classic Ridley Scott Alien film. And we also have the base, the nature of the base. They are saying one of the best scenes of the movie is where we see the hologram of the aliens running away from something, a threat within the base. And we never get to see the threat that provoked that stampede of aliens. We don't get to see it. We just see the hologram. Why does the alien, when he sees one of the creatures it created, just kill it? He just kills the guy. Why would he do that? What's the reason? What's the motivation? What's his goal? Its goal? There isn't none. The problem with Prometheus is that it is all over the place. Do we find out why did the aliens created us? No, we don't. Not to mention that it's really a stupid way of creating. If you have technology, you don't have to be so dramatic in order to insert your DNAs. You could have just cut your wrist and ask 1,000 other aliens to cut their wrist and drop, I don't know, 10 drops each, and that would have been enough. All of this dying at the waterfalls may seem dramatic. It's really not being aware of the story you want to tell. That's why it is all over the place. That's why Meredith is so tough, because you no longer have a story. You don't have interesting characters, and you don't know where it is going. This is Doc Rogers looking for Planet X, and it doesn't make any sense. For real. As someone pointed out, when your most charismatic character is a droid devoid of feelings, you know your story is in deep, deep trouble. Now, how do you fix this mess? Because as it stands, it is impossible to fix. You haven't got really any structure. This isn't going nowhere. This is one of those projects that Hollywood presents to us occasionally when you have an ego trip. When someone within the industry who's so powerful that can get away with anything, does something that is basically anything. And when you make anything, what you're really making is nothing. He wanted this to be a great sci-fi movie. He wanted this to be Aliens Zero, or a movie that was just as good as the first movie, revisiting it, making it completely different, and yet giving us hints and innuendos that it is the same thing. Suffice to say that in spite of the beautiful images that we see that it has, it fails completely. This is just one huge mess that isn't going nowhere and doesn't get anywhere. The end of the movie, with most of the characters dead and Naomi Rapaz's character going somewhere else. Why? Because she wants to find out why. we would like to find out too, but the point is that this doesn't make any sense, and there isn't any easy way to fix it. But fix it is what we are going to do. Well, the first thing that you have to do if you want to fix a movie such as this is that you have to get your priorities in order. What story do you want to tell? Do you want to make it Aliens Zero? Because in that case, you have to create a story around the alien that is found by the crew of the Nostromo, around that alien, around the navigator. And how do you create that story? It's supposed to be old, it's supposed to be an accident, it doesn't involve humans as far as we know, therefore it is difficult. And you have two paths. The first path is to make it an alien story, but that will be really expensive. And the second path is to make some humans arrive accidentally there. But if we do that, we are already stepping on the steps taken by Alien 1 and Aliens, which is Alien 2. Remember that the essence of Prometheus is that it is linked somehow to Alien, the saga, the xenomorph. We have to follow that premise. But we have to erase unnecessary stupidity, and the first thing that we would have to erase is those aliens creating human beings and those primitive signs pointing to somewhere in outer space where the aliens are. We have to erase that. And since we have erased that, we might as well erase everything else, at least from the blackboard. Sorry, whiteboard. What do we have? We have aliens. Aliens have to be within the equation no matter what we do. Otherwise, everything that Prometheus is goes away. And we also have to make it a prequel. That is what we have to do. It isn't easy. It isn't easy at all. But what else do we have? We also have Peter Weyland. What does Peter Weyland do? He's like the richest man on earth. He has lived well for over 90 years, so as not to make it unbelievable. And he's investing in anything that will make him live longer. That's his goal. And suddenly, his satellites, his long-range radars, or something that would allow him to listen to signals from outer space. Let us imagine a plausible way of radars, satellites, our equipment, finding out the signal from an stranded ship where the navigator and friends are. That's an interesting story. To find out or to be a part of the story that created the navigator. Why? Because Peter Weyland is desperately seeking signs from outer space, and that we have found somehow something that links the navigator with other planets, random signals here and there, and then we find the signal of the stranded ship with the navigator and his friends. That could create a story, because you have a straight line, which is searching for life, going to the extremes to search for life, with all the drugs that we are capable of making, with all the technology that the navigator and his friends have, with all that space technology. And instead of finding life, what is it that they find? We know what they find. What they find. And what they find is the xenomorph and death. With those three elements, we have a structure. We have Peter Weyland wanting to live with a strong motivation, setting a team ready of people, brave professionals, people that also share his dream, that have been promised eternal life. We have the navigators as a species existing there, giving certain signs of life that we have been able to listen to. And we have this final problem that leads us into a collision course between the stranded ship that isn't yet completely invaded by aliens and the Earth mission trying to learn something from those aliens. Everything else you would have to make a structure that is interesting, that is entertaining, that is fun, and that shows not only the tragedy of mortality, but also the amazement and wonder of outer space. And that's how I would fix, in essence, Prometheus.